What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Cruise News Show. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news updates. Two big stories today. We're going to talk about the virus outbreak on the Sea Dream 1, and we're going to talk about whether or not in this crazy time, if people even want to go cruising anymore. You may be surprised at the answer to that question. Are people giving up on cruising? We're going to talk about that today. But first, let's talk about the Sea Dream 1. First, a correction from yesterday. It's going to have some context in today's story. I said that there were 112 passengers on board and 99 crew members. What I meant to say is that's the capacity of the Sea Dream 1. The first cruise that they set sail with from Barbados, sailing at a reduced capacity, 53 passengers and 66 crew members. So more than one crew member per passenger. Again, like I said, it looks pretty lush. I've been seeing the interior of this cruise ship. I've been watching updates from the content creators, Ben and David, here on YouTube. Really great guys. They're on the Sea Dream 1. They've been giving updates not only about their cruise. They did the 17 days across the Atlantic to get to Barbados. They're on this first cruise, and I would highly recommend them to you. They've been putting out videos updating the situation. I'm going to reference some of those videos today. So as we left the situation yesterday, one positive case of the virus on the Sea Dream 1. All the passengers on Wednesday were required to return to their quarters where they were quarantined, and it seems like in quarantine they've been treated very well. Again, let me reference the Ben and David video. They showed themselves getting a full menu of food to choose from. Drinks were brought to their cabin, and it was a very interesting situation. It's almost like what we've got going on with DoorDash or food delivery here in the U.S. You make your order, they leave it at the door. You don't really interact with the person. That way you keep a level of social distancing, and you take the person out of the equation, a contactless delivery, as it were. And that's what's going on in the Sea Dream 1, as passengers are required to stay in their cabin, but it does seem like they're being well fed and well taken care of from a drink perspective. Interesting footage in the Ben and David video. I'm not going to show it. Go check out their video, but at some point they were required to be tested, and so they opened the door, they placed the chair that's in the cabin in the door, and then you've got a representative from the cruise line in full PPE right there in front of the doorway doing the nasal swab test right there. The biggest update that came out of that Ben and David video is that 4 more passengers had tested positive for the virus on Sea Dream 1. Those 4 passengers are associated with the first passenger that had the positive COVID test. They all came on the cruise ship together in a party of 6 in Barbados on Saturday. They boarded the cruise ship, and now it is suspected that that 6th person may also be infected. The Sea Dream 1 has returned back to Barbados, and now there's another round of testing that's gone on, or that's been completed by the Barbadian government. Gene Sloan, he writes for the blog The Points Guy. He is on board, and he's chronicling it also. I would highly recommend the Points Guy blog to you. Look for Gene Sloan. He talks about how that once they've gotten back to Barbados, the ship was testing them there in the door area, but the Barbadian officials actually called them down to like a guest services area where they were tested. The word that's coming back from that ship is all crew and all passengers, other than possibly the 6 people that were there together, have tested negative currently for the virus, but they continue to remain on the cruise ship. That was one of the most riveting part of the Ben and David video. As they made their way to the end of the video, you really could sense the concern that they had about getting off the cruise ship. If you remember what happened early on during this pandemic with the Diamond Princess in Yokohama, they left the passengers on the cruise ship, healthy passengers on the cruise ship, what everybody would agree was way too long, and many people got infected on that cruise ship because they simply just did not get them off the cruise ship. And so rightfully so, you can hear it in Ben and David's voice, you can see it in their face. There is a concern, an urgency to get off the cruise ship, but as of right now, as of the last update, everybody is still on that cruise ship as they continue to identify who has the virus, who does not have the virus. You got Sea Dream working with the Barbadian officials to try to get it all worked out. The debate continues to rage on as to whether or not you should cruise during a pandemic. Somebody pointed out, and I'm warming up to the idea, I mentioned that I felt like the cruise bubble had been popped. Somebody pointed out that, well, was this really a cruise bubble because they didn't do the masking? I'm going to say it was a form of a cruise bubble. It was Sea Dream's version of the cruise bubble. Was it as robust as, say, an MSC cruise bubble, or as robust as the CDC cruise bubble that's being recommended? No. So this is like a tiny bubble that popped, and it popped in a way that now maybe 5% of the people that are on board, passenger-wise, have the virus. And so, yeah, that's the scary part. If the cruise bubble does not hold its integrity, then there's a chance for infection. It does raise some questions. My understanding is that everybody getting on the cruise ship had to be tested at the point of embarkation. I believe they're following a 2-testing series where you get tested before you go to the cruise ship, and then when you get to the cruise ship, you have to be tested. So the suggestion there is at least one person had a false negative. They were able to get on the cruise ship, or the virus hadn't manifested yet, which that's a scary proposition. And now people that have been in close contact, it also brings to mind what is the chance that other people got exposed early on the crew where there wasn't any kind of masking protocol. And so a lot of open, unanswered questions. A big question, will this affect the return to cruising in North America by the bigger cruise lines? I don't think it does. Again, this is not the same type of cruise bubble. This wasn't a test cruise for anything. This simply was the first time a vessel cruised in the Caribbean since the shutdown. I tell you what, I don't think the cruise companies are taking their foot off the pedal. I think they're making their way to getting to some test cruises. We saw activity yesterday from Royal Caribbean launching a website to solicit volunteer cruisers. We've seen Norwegian Cruise Lines talking about getting their test sailings out as early as January. And so I do not believe that this story is going to derail the resumption of cruising that is being put forth by CLIA and by the CDC. I guess my big hope is that the profile of the virus and the spread will be different in the next couple months. Of course, we're spiking here in the United States and in many places across the globe. Cases are up, fatalities are up, hospitalizations are up, really shining a light on how well we're doing mitigating the virus. And right now we're kind of losing that battle. Hopefully we see better results in the next couple months as cruising tries to resume, because if not, it's going to be a very challenging situation for the resumption of cruising where COVID's everywhere. Now, I was excited to see that a lot of you complied with the new regulation that you need to subscribe to this YouTube channel. You may be pushing back like, well, you're not the boss of me. Who's saying that I need to subscribe to this YouTube channel? Well, look, to be honest, about 15 governments here on this planet say that it's a regulation, and at least 4 trade federations of aliens say that it is also a regulation. So don't make the aliens mad. That's my message today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of these episodes. But do people even want to go cruising at this point? Have people soured to cruising? That's a great question. Before I get to the question, let's reconcile the word of the day. It's Friday. We pick out the creative commenter of the week. 4 words of the day, Monday through Friday, and let's see how that thing turned out. The word of the day Monday was effective. The commenter of the day on Monday, Tren B. Disruption was the word of the day for Tuesday. Rodney E. Lyles was our highlighted commenter. The word of the day Wednesday was expectation, and Haley Ballard was our highlighted commenter of the day. And then yesterday, the word of the day was T-Rex. T-Rex. And congratulations, Dylan Seaman, for being the highlighted commenter for T-Rex. And now let's reveal the commenter of the week, selected by random draw of the 4 highlighted commenters. Dylan Seaman, your comment on T-Rex is our highlighted comment of the week. Dylan, congratulations. I do have some more information for you. Please send me an email at tony@lidoloca.com. Thanks everybody who participated in the word of the day. We'll be back with a new word next Monday. So do people even want to cruise during this pandemic? Is it just foolishness? Is it just spitting in the wind? Is it just tempting the fates? Well, I don't know what it is, but there is a great demand for cruising. I mentioned it earlier, Royal Caribbean opening up a Facebook group, opening up this website where people could put their information in and volunteer to go on a test cruise. In one day, that Facebook group has risen to 22,000 members. That's significant. I don't know that all 22,000 people are looking to be test cruisers if they just want to know some of the information, but that would be more than enough people to get onto test cruises, and that's just one company, Royal Caribbean. I would anticipate that other companies will come up with a way to solicit test cruisers. And I say all that to say that the demand for cruising is strong. It's baffling to some people out there. Why would you want to cruise during a pandemic? I'll give my reason again. I look at the safety protocols that are being put in place by the CDC, that are being put in place by the Healthy Cell Panel, that are being agreed upon by CLIA, and these are some of the most robust safety situations that I've seen during the pandemic. Look, I'm very fortunate. I don't have to leave the house to do my job. I don't have to leave the house to make a living and pay my bills, but I would like to leave my house at some point, and I just don't do it because in my community there's not a great adherence to the protocols. People don't really mask up. Social distancing isn't really a thing. It just doesn't feel like there's a huge level of concern when it comes to looking out for each other, when it comes to a community vibe for dealing with the virus. It seems very individualistic down here, and yeah, so fortunately for me, I don't really have to go out that much. I can get food delivered in, almost everything that we need, and so it's not that big a deal, but I would like to leave my house at some point. And so for me, the cruise line's offering an opportunity where I can go where everybody has been tested, where there's a strict adherence to the protocols that are recommended for keeping the spread of the virus minimal. And so for me, it doesn't seem as big a risk going on a cruise ship as it does going to Walmart. I'm advocating for the cruise industry to get a shot to resume cruising, and that the selfish reason is I would just like to get out of my house and do something. The broader macro reason is this is an industry that will struggle if it doesn't get to start. There's people that are out of work that depend on the cruise industry to feed their family, to pay their bills, and there is a pent-up demand for cruising. There's piles of money that people are ready to spend to keep cruising going, to keep people employed, and to satisfy that need to escape the normality of the everyday life. And so there's the money's in place, the infrastructure for cruising is in place. We sit here and we watch how they've been successful in certain places in Europe, and we believe that that can be the American model. And so the hope is that we can cruise again, that this industry stays viable for everybody that loves it and that depends on it. So I'm going to continue to advocate for the balanced approach to this thing. Remember, two extremes: complete shutdown, complete wide open. I do believe the solution lives somewhere in the middle, where we keep our economies running while overlaying the best health protocols, the best safety protocols, and we continue to move forward with life until we have a better solution on how to deal with this virus. The demand for cruising is strong. Let that continue to baffle those who don't understand it, but hopefully you can wrap your mind around it with that little bit of extra context there. Either way, it's an interesting conversation. Thank you so much for watching the show on Friday. I hope you're getting ready for a decent weekend. What's on your mind, man? Leave a comment below. Let's just have some sort of open conversation. Please show your support for the show by hitting the like button. This is Tony for Lido Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.